Alright, we're making a simple house in Blender. This is what your original screen should look like. We're going to start by switching our mode. Down in the left corner here it says Object Mode. If you press Tab, it switches to Edit Mode. Edit Mode is for editing specific objects, but Object Mode is for actually just moving the entire object. So we have everything selected, which is fine. We're going to press S on the keyboard, and then you'll see a dotted line goes to the mouse, and we're going to first scale it in the X direction by pressing X and then dragging the mouse out and then left clicking, and then we're going to do the same thing in the Y direction. So press S on the keyboard, and then notice how if we drag it out it makes the whole thing big, but we're going to press Y, which restricts it to only scaling in the Y direction. So we've now widened our house. So dragging out and then left clicking to set that. Alright, so I'm pressing my center mouse button down and moving it like this to view it from left and right, or to rotate it. So now we're going to use the face select button. In the bottom here there are three buttons. This one allows you to select vertices, so if I right click on a vertice, I've now selected the vertice. This button here allows you to select edges, so if you right click you get this, you can select an edge. What we want to do is select a face, which is this third button here, face select. So now we'll select that face. Now we're going to use the extrude function, which is one of the most useful functions in Blender. So we'll press E on the keyboard, and without moving the mouse, just press enter. So all we've done is duplicate that face, and now we're going to, leaving it selected, press S, and we're going to drag out again, and we're scaling out what we just created. This will be the beginnings of a roof, and then I'm going to left click to set that. I'm going to keep it selected, and then press E again, and now you can see what extrude does. It allows you to expand your shape in a certain direction. And we'll click about there. So we have kind of a funny looking roof now. We're going to go on the left here, which is our tools, and click on merge and select at center. So now we've merged those selected face and vertices at the center, so we now have a roof. And you can play around with the roof if you go back down here and click on the vertex select. Looks like we already have this top vertex selected, so you can click on these arrows if you want to move your roof up a little bit, or if you for some reason want it to look like that. Not sure why. I'm going to press, say you make a mistake and leave it there, you can press Control Z and it moves it back to where you want it. Alright, so we have a basic form of a house now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and switch back to face select, and we're going to select all of the faces of the house. So using right click on the face, and then use the middle mouse button to rotate the house, and then hold shift, click on the next face, rotate the house, hold shift, right click on the next face, rotate the house, hold shift. Now we have all of the faces of the house selected. We're going to go to our tools again. We're going to click on subdivide. This will break the faces up into smaller pieces that we can work with to make a door and windows. We're going to change the number of cuts here. We can just increase them until we think we have a good amount of flexibility. We'll only be moving the blocks, so I think this is enough. We have 6. Now we'll start making the door. Let's make this the front of the house. On our number keypad, if you press 1, it gives you a front view. So that's what I just did. Now we're looking at it from the front. We're going to make a door. Let's say I'm holding shift and right clicking again. That can be the door of our house. I guess it looks like it's a 2-story house, or it has a high ceiling. Now what we're going to do is press E for extrude, and then we're going to slide it, push the mouse up a little bit to move it back into the house. So this is what we're doing. We're just going to move it back a little bit and click. That's our door. And then let's put some windows on the sides here. We'll select this, and I'm holding Shift to select all of these. We're going to press E for extrude again, and then push it into the house a little bit. We're going to do the same thing here. We have two windows on this side. So if this kind of thing happens, that's a problem. I'm going to press X to make sure that I restrict it to just moving in the direction that I want it to move. So I have a couple windows. Notice how one is a little bit deeper than the other. So I switch the views. We'll move it by clicking on this red arrow here. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we'll make maybe one window in the front here, and we can take the picture from this angle, so it'll look pretty good. So holding Shift, and then right-clicking, and then pressing E to extrude and pushing it back into the house a little bit. We have some windows now. It's looking okay. So now what we're going to do is add a new object. So the most important thing is that we don't want our new object to be tied to this object. So down here where it says Edit Mode, we want to make sure we press Tab, go back into Object Mode before we add our new object. Now you can press Shift A to open up this little Add menu. We want to add a new mesh, and we want to add a plane. So here's our plane here. We need to use the scroll wheel and scroll out a little bit so I can zoom out. So notice how it's sort of off on its own, which is fine. We can click on these arrows to move it in a direction. So we'll move it up a little bit further. And you always have to change your view to see if you actually have it where you think you have it. So we'll look at it from the bottom here, go like that. Now, obviously this is too small, so we're going to press S, and we're going to scale it out. This will be like our grass. Okay, maybe we want to scale it out even further. There we go. Oops. Scale it out again. Okay, that should be fine. And then we want to probably lower it a little bit, so we click on this blue arrow and lower it down until that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have our house on some grass. So now what we're going to do is just color it and take a picture. We'll start by coloring the grass since we already have it selected. We're going to use this right menu over here. This globe, if you click on that, it allows us to edit the materials. So we're going to click on New, and actually let's change this mode to Cycles Render. This will give us some different options. That just decides how it's going to finalize the final image of this model. So we'll click here, we'll make a new material, and diffuse is good. That just means it doesn't reflect light. And we'll choose some sort of greenish color, whatever you like. This looks pretty unhealthy for what grass would be, but anyway. Okay, and then that should be work just fine now. So now we're going to select our other object here, and we're going to hit Tab to go into Edit Mode again. And we're going to hit A to deselect everything. So we can start by coloring our roof. So we'll hold Shift and right click all of the faces of our roof. Now we'll create a new material. We hit the plus button here, and then we're clicking New here. We can name it Roof, and we can choose some sort of brownish color for the roof. Maybe we'll make it a little bit darker here. Okay. More gray. Okay. and then we'll click Assign. So that should make sure that it assigns that color to our selection. And now we're going to use something called, well, first we're going to press A to deselect, and now I want to select all of these faces on the side of the house. So that could take sort of a while to do if we did them one by one. So we're going to use box select. So if you press B, it creates a box select, and this will help us to work a little bit faster. Okay, and then we're going to hold Shift, or hit B again, and then hold Shift, select these faces. Let's try that again. Okay, not working. I guess we'll just hold Shift and select these individually. I think you can box select multiple sections, but it's not doing it. Okay, well, we'll just work quickly then. So I'm holding Shift, selecting the individual faces. Okay, now we're going to rotate to the other side of the house. Maybe for this tutorial we'll only color two sides of the house and just take a picture of those. So I'm not selecting my windows, they're going to get a different color. Okay, so that looks fine. We're going to create a new material here and call it siding. We'll select the color. Our color can be a nice blue. Although the windows are going to be blue. Maybe we'll make it more of a, I don't know, whatever that color is. Okay, and then we'll click Assign, and that should assign that color to that section. Alright, now we'll select our windows. Okay, we'll create a new color. The plus here, and then new. We'll call this Windows. And this one we'll make like a light blue. Alright, well, that's not blue. There we go. And then click Assign, and then we'll select our door, which we can make, we probably make it the same color as the roof. Well, let's make a new color. Okay, new color door. This one we can make darker brown. Alright, and then we'll assign that color. Okay, so now's the moment of truth. We're going to press 0 on our number pad, and 0 shows us the camera view. I'm scrolling in with this scroll wheel so that the viewfinder fills up most of the screen, and now we're going to do a really important step. We're going to press N, and a little properties window is going to appear. We're going to scroll down or up and select lock camera to view. So once we do that, and we can move our house around and holding the middle mouse button down to adjust the view. This allows me to change where the camera is positioned so that it looks the way that I want it to look when I take the picture. So we can press N again to remove that window. Now we're going to render it, but I think there's not going to be enough lighting, so we might have to add lighting. We'll scroll down here. This part is really important where it says sampling. 10 samples is fine for testing it, but it's not going to yield very good quality. So we're going to leave it at 10 right now, but we're going to increase it for our final render. We'll click render and see what it looks like. Okay, so we've got our first version of a house. There is a shadow because we do have some light that's going on. Our windows look like they got assigned the color of our door. So that's a problem. Now to get out of this image that we've just created, we're going to hit escape. Alright, and then we want to get out of camera view, so I'm going to hit 1 on the number pad. So let's not worry about the windows for now. We're going to just create a light source. So we're going to go hit tab to go back to object mode. We're going to hit shift A to add a new plane. And this plane is we're going to create a light source out of this plane. So we're going to scale it a little bit bigger. We can use a tool we haven't used yet, rotate. If you hit R and then X, it will rotate it around the X axis. So we want to rotate it a little bit like that. And then under materials, this globe button, we're going to create a new material and we're going to set it as emission. That means it's going to emit light. We can set its strength to 5 for now. Now let's click 0 again, or press 0. We're going to take another picture of our house and see what it looks like. Okay, so there's a little more light on the house now. We can see what's going on. So from here, the main thing we need to sort out is the coloring. The grass didn't get colored either, or the windows. So we're going to click 1. We're in object mode, which is good. We're going to right click on this big plane here, which is our grass. We're going to click on the globe. We want it to be this. Let's just close that and start again. Okay, we want the whole object to be green, looking like that. Let's see if that had an effect. No. Okay. Well, let's go to edit mode then. Try it again in edit mode. So we have this green color. We're in edit mode. We have this plane selected. We'll click assign. That should work now. Okay, good. So we've now got some green grass that actually is reflecting light onto the house. It looks grainy simply because the rendering quality isn't high enough, but we want it to render quickly so that we can test the colors and the view. Okay, so that looks fine. We're going to click tab to go back out of object mode, and we're going to right click the house again, hit tab to go into edit mode for the house. We're going to select our window panes now and click on this globe to mess with the windows. Yeah, so see how the door is selected even though we want it to be the windows. So we're going to click Windows, Assign. Now when we render it, it should look better. Good. Okay. We have some lighting issues. Notice how it's not bright enough and the quality is also poor. So what we're going to do is just hit Tab. We're going to play around with our lighting source. We're going to move it left and also down, and maybe a little bit further away so the lighting isn't as harsh. Okay, now for our final render, when you click on this camera icon here, which is for rendering, if you scroll down where it says sampling, we're going to change this to 50. That will increase the quality. If you want to increase it even more, you can keep increasing this number, but it will take longer to render. Alright, so let's click render and see how it looks. Okay, so it looks pretty good. You can just continue messing around with the windows and the door and the roof in edit mode so you can play around with the house, but our lighting looks pretty good. You can see a nice shadow here. The grass looks nice and like we're in Legoland or something, but overall we got a house. Alright. Oh, actually, to save this house, that's important. Click down here on Image, and then click Save as Image. That's the last step. And then you can choose whatever directory you want to save it at. And then once you're done, you can go back here, and to get out of this, you press Escape. Alright, now we're done.